A PR with 150 additions and 50 deletions looked clean, but 20 lines of error handling were silently deleted. The default Git Diff context hid them, and production crashed. Let's break down Git Diff. Spot changes before they become incidents, how it works, and the exact mistake behind that failure. Git Diff is like a highlighter pen for your code. It marks every line that was added in green and every line that was deleted in red between any two snapshots. Without it, reviewing changes would mean reading the entire file and trying to remember what it looked like before. Git Diff has several modes. The most common are Git Diff for unstaged changes, Git Diff staged for staged changes, and Git Diff main. Feature to compare branches. Use stat for a quick summary of changed files and line counts. Here are the essential Git Diff commands. The first three show differences between your working tree, index, and last commit. The branch comparisons use 2 dots for exact differences and 3 dots for changes since the common ancestor, which is what GitHub PRs use. The summary views give you a bird's-eye view of what changed. Use diff-filter to focus on specific change types. For example, diff-filter equals D shows only deleted files. This is invaluable for catching accidental deletions in large PRs. Chain it with name only for a quick checklist. Here's how to use diff-filter in practice. The first command lists all deleted files between your branch and main. The second shows added and modified files. The third shows the change type for every file, which is great for a quick review. Git Diff has powerful flags for catching invisible changes. Word Diff highlights changes at the word level, ideal for pros. W ignores whitespace changes, and check finds whitespace errors. Color moved highlights moved blocks of code with different colors. Here are the advanced diff flags. Word Diff shows changes at the word level. W ignores all whitespace, and ignore space change ignores only whitespace-only changes. Check lists whitespace errors. Color moved highlights moved code blocks. Function context shows function context, and U10 increases context lines to 10. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. The PR touched 15 files with 150 additions and 50 deletions spread across different sections. In one file, the developer deleted a try-except block and added a new function in a different section. The default 3-line context showed the addition, but not the deletion because it was in a separate hunk. The reviewer saw 150 additions and approved, missing the deletion entirely. The default Git Diff context of 3 lines hid 20 lines of deleted error handling in payment handler, PI, causing unhandled exceptions in production. The fix was immediate. Restore the deleted error handling via git revert. Then they added process changes. Require Git Diff stat in every PR description, instruct reviewers to expand all collapsed diff sections, and add a CI check using diff-filter equals D to warn about deletions. This prevents the same incident from happening again. The default Git Diff shows only 3 lines of context around each change. If additions and deletions are in different parts of the same file, the deletion may not appear in the diff at all. This is exactly what caused the production incident. This is the exact mistake from the incident. The default GitHub PR diff collapses sections with similar changes. The deletion was in a collapsed section and never reviewed. Always expand all sections before approving. If a file was reformatted by a tool like Prettier or Black, the diff shows every line as changed. Reviewers can't see the actual logic change. Always separate formatting PRs from logic PRs to keep diffs readable. The article mentions diff-filter D, but doesn't show a concrete example. Use it to list all deleted files in a PR branch compared to main, which helps catch accidental deletions like the 200 lines of error handling. The default 3-line context in Git Diff can hide deletions when changes are far apart. Use U-lines to increase context, e.g., Git Diff U10 main. Head to see more surrounding code and avoid missing hidden deletions. The article mentions Git Diff check, but doesn't show a CI integration. Add this step to your CI pipeline to fail builds on whitespace errors, preventing formatting issues from hiding functional changes. When debugging production issues, start with Git Diff stat to see the change summary. Use name status to see the type of change for every file. Check for accidental deletions with diff-filter equals D. And always run git diff check to catch whitespace errors that might hide functional changes. Let's run through some common interview questions. What does git diff show? Differences between working tree and index. How to compare two branches. Git diff branch 1, branch 2, or branch 1. Branch 2, how to see only deleted files. Git diff diff-filter dname only. And a few frequently asked questions. What is the default context in git diff? 3 lines. How to ignore whitespace changes. Use W flag. How to see word level changes. Use word diff. Key takeaways. Default git diff shows only 3 lines of context, so expand all sections or use UN for more. Use stat and name status for a change summary. Diff-filter equals D catches accidental file deletions. Word diff for pros, W to skip whitespace noise. Color moved reveals reorganized code. And require git diff, stat main. Head in PR descriptions to force awareness of every changed file. Ready to go deeper? Up next, git log. Master commit history search and filtering, then git push. Safe publishing and force push recovery, then git remote. Manage repository connections safely. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.